Hello everyone, welcome to the spoiler talk for the one-shots. This time we are going to be diving into the entire thing. Let me get me notes. Alright, here we go. So, starting off we have the Agent Carter one-shot, which I will say is not canon because I would rather have the series be canon than the one-shot because of the fact that they can't live in the same timeline in that sense. Because the fact is that it both deal with the same thing, and that is Peggy Carter being overlooked. Why would that happen twice? Especially because of the fact that if you look at the timeline, in a way, this is technically supposed to take place logically after the Agent Carter TV series. So she gets overlooked herself and then gets overlooked again. It makes no sense. So I would rather have the series. Anyway, in this one, we have the SSR who is apparently going after something called Zodiac. And Peggy is bored and she wants to go on a mission, but she's a woman. So that is not going to happen. And to be honest, I know people might have some opinions about this, but I do kind of understand it because of the timeline that we're in, you know. We're back in the day. Women were very much underestimated. And also, this is specifically important for Agent Carter because we know her as Peggy Carter, the fantastic woman, but they don't. So, a bit of a problem. And she doesn't even get invited to drinks. And my biggest issue is the fact like the boys are gonna go out for a drink, which is also something that was handled in Agent Carter, which I actually like the way that the Agent Carter TV series handled that one, because in the beginning it's like, hey, we're going for a drink, you clean up. But then later on in season 1, it's like, hey Peggy, you want to come along with the boys? Because now she's proved her. However, you didn't have to turn off the lights. That one was just mean. So she has to stay behind, do some work, and then a call gets in about Zodiac. So Peggy, instead of telling the boss, she decides to go on her own. She goes a bit rogue. But the caller said that it is a mission for 3 to 5 people. So let's see how Peggy goes. So Peggy walks up. The two guys underestimate her, obviously. So she, with the surprise, is able to take them both out. And then Assassin's Creed her way across in order to capture the guy. All syndicate-like. Which is a Let's Play that might be uploading at the time of this, but I forgot to check that one out. But it is either uploading right now or coming soon over on the Let's Play channel, so keep an eye out for that one. So she interrogates the guy a bit while they're walking. It's like, where's the thing? How many guys? And he's like, 4 guys, including you. Yep. She ties him up and is like, I want you to scream. So he screams. 2 guys come in, and once again, with the power of surprise, Peggy Carter's able to take them both out. And then afterwards, with the last guy, she shoots a hole in the door and throws in a gas grenade, which caused the guy to come out, and Peggy knocks him out as well, puts on a gas mask, goes inside, grabs Zodiac, but the dude at the beginning was lying because there's a surprise guy who then attacks her. However, Peggy is able to kind of fight back, but not really, because have you seen that guy? So Peggy goes for her. No. So Peggy goes for her suitcase, grabs a knife out of the thing, surprise knife, and taps the dude in the leg and takes him out as well. And then she goes back home. Mission accomplished. However, the boss is not really happy about it, and he's ready to punish her and even insults her, and she actually fights back. He's like, how dare you? And then obviously he's mad about that, but he can't really be mad for too long because the fact there's a phone call and it's Howard Stark. He's like, hey, I want Peggy Carter to join S.H.I.E.L.D. and also I want you to sound sincere when you tell her how happy you are about you. Okay? So yeah, that is basically how it ends. And to finish it off with a little bit of a post-credit scene, we have basically the invention of a bikini, which is marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. And that is the Agent Carter one-shot. And overall, I very much enjoyed it and my favorite, obviously. So let's get into the next thing, which takes place after Coulson leaves Iron Man 2, but before he gets into Thor, we have a little bit of a story where he stops at a gas station. He goes inside. He gets 2 pairs of donuts. He wants to decide the white one or the black one, but he can't choose which one he wants. Meanwhile, the gas station is being robbed, so he has to go over there in order to kind of stop that thing. So the robbers are like, hey, who does the car belong to? And Coulson's like, oh yeah, that's mine. That's mine. Hello, I'm back here. Even though he could have had the perfect opportunity for an assassination, but no. So then the robbers are like, hey, hand over your car keys. So Coulson's like, here you go. So then they go back to the woman and are like, give us your money. And then Coulson's like, excuse me, I also have this gun. Which I just thought was the funniest thing ever. So Coulson is like, I'm not gonna throw the thing, okay, for it accidentally go off. Look, I'll go to the other aisle and I'll slide it over. So one of the guys goes over to the other aisle to receive the gun. So Coulson slides the gun over, grabs some sugar, throws it in one guy's face, and then takes the other guy out and takes the first guy out as well. And then he decided to buy both. And that's the one shot. Very fun. I always love a fun adventure with Phil Coulson, especially as a fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After that, we have the third one, which is the consulted one. And this is probably the worst one, if not for the Team Thor one, because this one doesn't necessarily do a lot of new stuff. It's just, it gives a little bit of background information. So Coulson is invited by Jasper Sitwell. By the way, this takes place after basically Fury's big week, but before and after the post-credit scene of The Incredible Hulk. So Jasper has invited Coulson over to a cafe in order to talk about something, and apparently the World Security Council wants Abomination for the Avengers. And yeah, no, Fury doesn't want want it and nobody else really wants it too. And also they're blaming the whole Harlem incident on the Hulk because of the fact that Blondie is a war hero. So we need to figure out a way to prevent that stuff. And Jasper's like, let's send in the consultant. And Phil's like, we shouldn't. But they do anyway. So Tony goes into the bar, makes General Ross very angry. And so obviously it's not going to happen. And then we got back to after the fact. And apparently Tony made him so mad that Ross wanted him to leave the bar. So Tony bought the bar and is now going to demolish it to make sure that Abomination will not join the Avengers. Like I said, it is the weakest one out of the three. Still entertaining because we got to see more of Coulson. But overall, it is the worst one. Next up, we have the item 47 one where we actually meet two new characters, Claire and Benny. And they are using T'Chari tech in order to rob banks. And Felix Blake is talking to Jasper Sitwell about this. Is like, look, alright, we've recovered 46 of these items. None of them have seemed to work. And the one that you did not recover is the one that is working. Get on it. So Jasper gets sent. Also, this is after Coulson's death. R.I.P. the boy. So the couple has finally earned enough money. However, before they can celebrate, the next door neighbor blasting loud music. So Benny goes over there to ask him to stop. And it turns out it is Jasper who takes him. But there's a little bit of a problem because Benny kicks over the speaker and then yells to Claire to run. So Claire instead grabs the big gun and just shoots the wall, hoping that Benny can get down. And after a little bit of a fight ensues and the gun malfunctions and also blows up a bunch of cash, we eventually capture the guys. However, Felix Blake did say that Jasper had to neutralize them, but Jasper decides instead, because of the fact that apparently Benny was able to make the gun work, that they are gonna join S.H.I.E.L.D. So Benny is gonna work on the in the tech department, let's just say that, and Claire is going to become Blake's new assistant, which is great, except she doesn't know how to make coffee. And then in the I guess during the credits or after the credits, we have the fact that she's just spinning in a chair, but she's not really the best, but whatever. Anyway, it was a fun one. I like to see the ground street level kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of it, and it kind of seems like a prelude to what would eventually become Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'm also a big fan of. And next up, we have the final one until Thor Ragnarok came out. We have All Hail the King, baby. And we got the Trevor in prison who is being interviewed by a guy, and turns out that Trevor is actually popular in prison because of the fact that he's the Mandarin. And also, accidentally, Trevor does bump into Melvin from Daredevil. Not really, but that is the same actor. You know, I got a little headcanon here because of the ending, but I'll talk about that later on. But basically, I like to see this as Melvin before Kingpin got to him and had him make soup. Anyway, so obviously, since he's popular in prison, he has to do the line, "You'll never see me coming," which gets everyone to go insane. And also, he has an assistant, which is very nice as well. And then the interviewer apparently is here for the final day, and they talk about Trevor's past, how he had a mother, and also she went with him to the audition. However, when she died, Trevor was nowhere to be found because of the fact that Trevor was in America shooting a pilot for a not picked up TV series called Caged Heat, which that trailer I thought was absolutely funny. So as they are talking about that, the interviewer then kind of starts to allude to the fact like, hey, you might have made some powerful enemies out there. And so the interviewer gets up, takes off his jacket, rolls up his sleeve, opens up his camera, which inside of the camera, Megatron is being formed, a gun that is. And he then grabs the gun, takes everyone out, and then says that he works for the real Mandarin, and he's gonna put a hole inside of Trevor for every ring, basically. I think that was it. I think it was every ring, but I can't really be sure. However, the butler does not have it, so he fights, but sadly enough, he dies. Oh, butler, why? I like him. However, instead of killing Trevor, the interviewer actually takes Trevor, and that is gonna be more explained in the movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, but it's gonna take us a long time before we get into that one because we have so many seasons to cover. And also, this is how I like to see Melvin became the way that he was, the way that he talked, stuff like that. It was because of the Mandarin attack. They did something to him during the attack, and that's why he talks like that, because I like to connect the thing. It's a headcanon. It makes no sense, but I'll go with it anyway. Also, Justin Hammer is here, and he is apparently gay, which I could make so many jokes about, but since gay people are a protected class, we're not allowed to do that no more, so that's a bit of a sad thing. By the way, I will say this, even the gay community could have appreciated the jokes, but you're not gonna get it, because I don't want to get into trouble. And that's basically the whole one-shot set that we got originally until Thor Ragnarok came out with Team Thor one-shot. Now, the first one, like, these ones can actually fit into canon, except for one scene that I'll talk about later. So, starting off, Thor apparently has moved in with a guy named Daryl, not Dixon, and not from The Walking Dead, and he annoys him daily, puts Mjolnir in his way and everything, and also he tries to send emails to Cap and Tony, but they're not responding to his emails about the fact that their relationship is kind of on the fritz, and Thor wants to help, but no. And also, Thor apparently has a board for, like, basically phase 3 with the Infinity Stones, a purple guy, and all that stuff, and it's like, how do you know about this stuff? But the one thing that that actually does not make sense for this. Also, is Fury the way that you pronounce his name, or is it Furry? Is it Nick Fury, or is it Nick Furry? Who's to say? But also, he goes out to hang out with Banner, and that's kind of where the timeline goes wrong, because Banner is not supposed to be on Earth right now, so this makes no sense timeline-wise. So this one is not canon. However, Daryl will appear in Thor Ragnarok or Love and Thunder. Either one of those two, but he does appear in a later thing. So are these canon or are they not? So my guess is just you cut out the scene with Hulk or Banner, I guess, and then everything is fine. The timeline can work. But also, Tony Stark apparently does not want to talk to Thor, apparently. So that's fun. So then Thor decides to make Team Thor with his friend, bestie, if I were to say, Daryl. They are gonna form Team Thor. And afterwards, in the second part, it starts off with him just terrorizing a bunch of children about how he decapitated someone and ripped out guts or whatever. It's like, dude, don't talk about that in front of children. What is wrong with you? And also, Thor apparently does not like it when he loses, because he loses Connect 4 and then destroys the whole thing. Poor Daryl. Poor Daryl. And also, Asgardian coins are absolutely worthless on Earth, which I kind of feel like isn't necessarily true, because I feel like, I mean, Thor even makes a point of this where you could just probably sell this off and make money, and I'm like, you could probably make a lot of money. Thor is popular. You could sell this stuff off and make a bang, but whatever. And also, Thor doesn't want to get a job, but he does want a servant, so they get a servant, and yeah, that's basically it. And there is actually an extra one that is called Team Daryl, but I will talk about that when we get to Thor Ragnarok, because that one actually takes place officially confirmed after Thor Ragnarok, so we'll talk about that one later. And that's the spoiler talk for the one-shots, and like I said, I enjoyed them, but I don't understand why they stopped making them, because they're just a lot of fun, you know? They could have made more of them, but sadly enough, this is the last. It ends with Team Daryl. That is technically where it ends, but I kind of just wish they brought them back. But overall, let me know what you guys thought about the one-shots down in the comment section down below, and what do you think about my idea about Melvin? I would love to hear your thoughts about my Melvin theory as well. But with that being said, thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you're new, if you don't already, turn notifications. Don't forget to check out the Let's Play channel, link in the description and at the end of the video. And I'll see you guys next week when we will take a look at Black Widow, baby. Bye.